Welcome back to Indiana News Desk. The General Assembly added Muncie to a bill that allows the state to take over the financial management of a school corporation. Holcomb signed the bill yesterday. During the legislative process, Muncie schools said they didn't want this intervention. Indiana Public Broadcasting's Claire McInerney starts us off with why the legislature intervened now and why those in the district and community in Muncie didn't want the state's help.
Senate Bill 567 allows the state to appoint a financial advisor to help Gary schools stay solvent. That district is struggling with declining enrollment and other financial setbacks. Then state lawmakers received a report from the State Board of Accounts, and lawmakers added Muncie Community Schools to this financial intervention bill.
Muncie rose to that level because they were over $10 million in operating deficit.
When lawmakers were aware of Muncie's high level of debt, and Brown and other Republicans added Muncie to their financial intervention bill, district representatives objected.
So I understand the people and the citizens of the community are reacting in a way that is very personal.
Community members, parents, school staff, and many board members in Muncie were against state intervention. They held a special board meeting in the last week of the legislative session to formulate a plan to save money in hopes of convincing the legislature to back off.
As we go through this process this evening, I hope we remember as a community and as a school board with the elected officials that are here, and we have legislators here, the importance of keeping the city of Muncie Community Schools out of Senate Bill 567.
Not that the community doesn't recognize there are problems. Many at the meeting said while they didn't want state intervention, they do want the district to make dramatic changes.
That means making some tough decisions. Decisions that have been put off too long. Decisions that I hope will keep us out of a state stranglehold.
And at the end of that meeting, the board voted to close 3 elementary schools. It did not consolidate middle schools, though data shows all middle school students in the district can fit in one building. Board member Bev Kelly voted against the plan, saying sudden changes weren't the progress the legislature was asking for.
I want the state to give us that time to make sure that this plan is a good one, and when we close these schools, we have a good plan of how these kids are going to go from here to here, and that is everything. I want to make sure they have good classrooms.
And that's what legislators say this financial advisor will help with, creating a long-term plan to help the district get out of debt.
And Claire McInerney joins us now to discuss more about the situation in Muncie. So first explain why the financial situation in Muncie is different than in other school districts.
So they have $19 million in debt, which includes operational costs like payroll, benefits, plus some bonds that they have set aside to renovate schools. And what has happened this year is they didn't have enough money to make payroll and pay the electric bill, so they started borrowing from themselves, which isn't illegal, but they have to pay themselves back. And so in February, their CFO quit because he didn't like this practice. And so there have been a lot of choices like that that have snowballed that got this bill on the legislators' desks.
So the bill passed. It is now waiting, right, to be signed by the governor?
It was signed yesterday.
It was signed
Thursday.
yesterday. So what does the final bill look like?
So it gives Muncie a little more time, and that's what they wanted. They wanted more control over their situation. So they have until December to work with a financial manager who will advise them, and they can figure out how to get themselves out of debt. If by December the state thinks they haven't made enough progress, they will appoint a permanent financial advisor who can then come in and make decisions that override the superintendent or the board. It'll be up to them. So Muncie essentially has until December to get their act together, make their own choices. Otherwise, the state will intervene, which is what the bill originally had said.
All right. Thank you very much, Claire.
You're welcome.